Hey, Sean here from SpeedCubeReview.com. So I worked at SpeedCube Shop for a little while as customer service, and I got a lot of different questions that I feel like could be answered with a video. And one of those is how to assemble or even disassemble a SpeedCube. Now, I'm going to actually first show with a couple actual Rubik's brands just to show how those come apart, and then show a SpeedCube. Now, the puzzles are able to come apart, and often I would get emails from people who think that the puzzle just fell apart in their hands and that it's broken, but it's often just that's how it's meant to be, and you just need to tighten the tensions a little bit. So first off, with an old school Rubik's brand, I've re-stickered it. They usually don't have stickers like this. If you turn the puzzle 45 degrees, an edge can just pop out. And the edge and corners, the way they fit in, you can see right here, is everything moves around each other and the centers don't move at all. Now, I usually recommend people putting things together with the cube turned 45 degrees or that top layer because it's a little more flexible. Now, a Rubik's brand that you might find in the stores, they're quite a bit more difficult to get apart. You still do the same thing, you turn it 45 degrees, but they're made to really stay together. And so if you get a piece out, now I don't recommend this because you're not really supposed to take these apart. You really have to pull this apart to the side here while wiggling an edge out. And after some working at it, it will come out. But I don't recommend this because with how difficult that was, I could see one of the plastic pieces breaking off. And getting it back together is quite difficult as well, popping that piece back in, because you really have to move it around. So that's where a SpeedCube comes in. With most all SpeedCubes, you can pop the centers off. Usually it's not too difficult. They just pop straight off like this. And there's a screw underneath. You can unscrew it completely, and then you can take the centers off and clean that if you ever need to clean it. But you usually don't need to do that to get the piece out. Just a few turns will help loosen it up enough so we can get a piece out. If you find that it's any harder than just a little wiggle around, loosen a little bit more. You don't ever want to force a piece out or into the cube, as they are just made of plastic and they can break. So there is an edge out, and then you can just take the rest of them. You have a corner, another corner, and so on. The rest will kind of just fall out from here. Now, as far as assembling it, it's just the same thing, but backwards. And you can line up pieces, so putting an edge in like this. I'll often just put any piece in, solve it, and then move it around from there. But we're going to solve it like this first. Now you see it wants to move around, so you might have to hold it into place and just get two adjacent edges in. So here's red and green. Now, if you do assemble it just randomly, you can put it together incorrectly, and more often than not, you will put it together incorrectly, which means pieces do have to be taken out. Once you get those two edges in and you place a corner in like this, it will stay pretty much together. You do have to watch it. It might wiggle around a little bit. Where's my red and yellow? Here it is, and I'll put that one in. So that way we have a nice little 2x2 block. And from here, we can just put in another edge. Let me find another green edge. There's one. So here is green and white, and I know that was the white center right there. So I'll slide that in. I'm not really popping it in, just sort of putting it in and sliding it down. And I'll build up from there. So I need the white, red, and green corner. There it is. And I'll slide that corner in, and then I need the red and white edge. Here we go. And I slide that one in. So I need the orange and green edge. And you see I place it and just sort of let it slide down. Orange, white, and green corner. So where's the orange and white? Actually, I put the other corner in. Sometimes that helps keep that a little more stable. And then edge here. Well, put that in backwards. Let's fix that. Orange and white edge. And then the top layer. So usually first thing I'll put in is an edge, and then two corners around that. and then the two edges. And notice how I still have this at 45 degrees. That way it's a little bit easier to pop these pieces in, like that. And that, and then we have a corner here, corner here, and this final edge. Now I just realized I've started putting this together on a side that isn't as flexible. So I'm just going to turn it since I loosened that screw. You can loosen a few of the screws and that's going to make it a bit easier to put it together, but that final corner should just nicely slide in. If you have to force it in at all, loosen the screw a little bit more. When I place this in, I place one lip under the center piece and kind of pull out a little bit as I push that in. And then we're set. And then we can tighten the screw back down. Now, I kind of know how I like my tensions to be, so I know how tight to make the screw. One thing you want to do is make sure it's the same height on all sides. And so what you can do is actually just tighten it so it's flat here, and then move it up or down depending on how much you want. I usually recommend making the cube a little bit tighter than normal and not having it where you can easily pop a piece out. That way, if you're more rough at turning, which a lot of people when they start are, you're not going to have pieces flying out. There are really not many modern 3x3s that are out today that should pop with regular solving. That's an issue with older puzzles because they didn't have all those interlocking mechanisms. So you should be fine, and if it is popping, tighten the tensions down a little bit. So thank you very much. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews.